Welcome back. Gives me great pleasure and an honor. I'm excited. The great Al Pacino. Al?
Yes.
May I call you Al?
You may call me Al, like the song goes. You can call me Al. Paul Simon wrote that song.
Yeah.
You can call me Al.
I want to tell you what a great honor. You're spectacular. And like I told you, you're not an actor anymore. You're art. You've gone past the...
You have no idea what a great compliment that is and how flattered I am by hearing that kind of thing.
But I mean it from here because it's easy to talk.
It's a beautiful way to put it, and I just say, if I only come close to that, I'm really very pleased and very honored to hear you say that. I must say.
Well, I'm overtaken by your presence.
Wow.
You have a natural aura. You're
as long as I keep my eyes open, I'm going to be all right.
Let me ask you, there was a time when you came out of film school. Did I read correctly that you, Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro were in a beach house and lived together for a brief time?
What I was a young actor in New York City. I went to New York City. I was 16, 17 years old, and I did a lot of theater and cafe theater in the round, theater all over the place, children's theater, whatever I could do. And over the years, in the 60s and all, and I started to see these people coming up. I think Bob De Niro and Scorsese were more involved in film early on, and I was on stage. So, and they were closer to each other. They actually come from Little Italy. They come from the same section in Manhattan. I come from the Bronx. But I did see them in passing, so I knew who they were even before they were well known. And then, as time went on, I started to do more work, and I became successful in Manhattan, New York, relatively early. In those days, I was like 26, and I was very lucky and started to get into things, and I was in the theater, and I became sort of well known in New York, in a smaller. As a matter of fact, the first film I did was Panic in Needle Park. But it really was the theater that got Francis Ford Coppola to see me, because he saw me on a live stage, and I think that he then wanted to get to meet me, and so we went out. He was an unknown director, and he had a movie he wanted me to do, which was a love story, actually, in San Francisco. And I went back to San Francisco with him, and I got to know him. I spent 4 or 5 days with him, and he was a very interesting person, to say the least. I mean, he had so many ideas. He was going. I'd never even heard of him.
So what did you think? What impression did he give you?
He was he was like a visionary, you know. I thought, this guy's really, him and Spielberg and Lucas, they had this little place called Zoetrope in San Francisco. And he wanted me to do this love story where I play a young college professor who falls in love with a young student. It was a terrific, beautiful, surreal movie. And I thought, this is very good. Warner Brothers was the producer at the time, didn't want anything to do with me. Didn't know who I was. Said, what are you doing casting this guy in this part? But he wanted me. And I thought, well, I can understand it. I'm unknown. What am I doing there? So they never made the movie. So a year later, out of the blue, I hadn't heard from him. I get a phone call. And he said, oh, Al, hi. I said, oh, hi, Francis. He said, yeah, I just want you to know I'm doing The Godfather. I thought, this guy's gone nuts. I mean, he's doing The Godfather? How could you do The Godfather? I mean, you're this artist in San Francisco. You're an avant-garde filmmaker. How did they pick him to do The Godfather? It's the biggest book. Anyway, I humored him for a while and said, yeah. Are you serious? And he says, yeah. I said, well, that's great. I mean, that's great. He says, yeah. And I want you to play Michael. Did you read the book?
Yes, sir. It was amazing.
No.
Well, he asked you. I apologize. See, that's how smart I am.
No, you're smart. He said, did you read the book? I said, yeah, I did. It's great. But you want me to play Michael? I said, are you serious? He says, I'm serious. I said, well, I can't play Michael. I said, I don't think I'm right for that part at all. No, he says, you're my idea of Michael. I said, well, all right. I thought, he needed help or something. I thought this guy's gone
But
crazy.
why did you not think you were right for the part?
Well, for one thing, at that time, in that day and age, they would get somebody, who was a star to play a part like that. I was unknown, really. I was, a New York City actor on stage. I was known there, but I wasn't known in the, But sure enough, the agent says that he wants you, and once again, the studio didn't want me. Paramount didn't want me, but they didn't want anybody. They didn't want Brando. They didn't want Jimmy Caan, Robert Duvall. They didn't want anybody. Francis wanted all those people. They gave in here, they gave in there, but me and Brando were the big holdouts. They wouldn't work with Brando. Apparently had trouble with them from before. And me, they just didn't want nothing to do with. But Francis stuck with me. He stuck with it. I did screen tests with everybody. Everybody did screen tests. Everybody. And then I never thought I'd get it. But he was there. Francis was there, an unknown director fighting for an unknown actor. So it was like, I had to go along with him. And finally, I said to him at one point, I said, Francis, it's fine. You make the movie. I'll be all right. I got other things going on. He said, no, you're my idea. You're my idea. Can you believe that?
Well, he's a great visionary because he saw Michael
Wow.
Corleone in your eyes and in your
saw
soul.
it. He saw me. And I thought, and finally, you know how I got the part, finally? After everybody else was cast, they saw 8 minutes from The Panic in Needle Park, a movie I'd made,
I remember that.
which hadn't come out yet. And they said, oh yeah, okay, we'll take it.
Because of the look. You had the
I
look.
don't know what it is. They just saw a certain kind of energy.
But
And
you
they
see
went
it
with
even, you must be your own critic too. Are you a critic for Al Pacino when you
No,
see yourself?
I try not to be a critic. When I look at whatever I do, if I can do something about it, if I can help it in some way, if it's on screen, I then look at it very objectively.
Bravo.
It helps me. It's almost like looking at a painting or a character or something. But if I can't do anything about it, I'd rather not see it.
Okay.
That's sort of the way
so
it is.
the adage, what you're trying to say to me, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
if the script is great and the actors are not that great, it'll be a decent movie. But if the script is not that good, even the greatest actors known to mankind
No,
can't
the
save
script
them.
is first.
Bravo.
Script is first. And then direction in movies is close. It's almost first. And then the actors. But the actors have a lot to do with who's directing it. The director directs a movie with actors in mind most of the time.
I want to ask you this last question because I know you got to go and you got to get a big show.
That's right.
So you're in The Godfather. You had Francis Ford Coppola fight for you to be in there.
That's right.
And this massive ensemble of actors
Yeah.
in this. Was Marlon, like out of all of you, correct me if I'm wrong, Marlon Brando already was at the pinnacle or at the peak of his career?
He was almost an acting, you would say he was an acting symbol.
Bravo. That's
He
right.
was what all young American actors
Hope to be.
aspired to. He was an inspiration. And I had seen him when I was a kid in movies and was inspired by the way he did things. And there I was acting with him. And he couldn't have been a more sensitive, considerate person,
Great.
especially for a young actor who doesn't know anything. And in the middle of all this, Marlon was so...
So you all got along. It was the chemistry was good. There
Yeah,
was
well, you know what happened? We once had a dinner. We went to some Italian restaurant in Harlem to just, Francis got us all together, have dinner before the movie started. And at the dinner, it was very interesting. All the actors, Jimmy, me, Bob, and Marlon, and we were all sitting at this table eating. And after about an hour into the dinner, we started to automatically go into our roles. Even though we're not like that personally, we couldn't help it. And now the way we related to Marlon, the way he related to us, it was like a very interesting exercise that Francis did for us. And we didn't even know he was doing it. But we fell into our characters,
Bravo.
having a social dinner with...
because you guys connected. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave you with this. I know you like good food, and that's your Italian genes in you.
I just can't have too much of it.
I have a couple of restaurants in Toronto. I've been lucky in my life. I got to interview Paul Newman, and now I can die because I just met Al Pacino and interviewed Al Pacino.
Paul Newman was one of the great people.
You know what he
of all
said to me
time.
when I interviewed him after? He's a very nice guy, very beautiful guy, and he said, Frank, I don't like doing interviews, but I did it to help you out and like you. He goes, and I hear you can cook, and I'm a chef. He goes, you got to give me the recipe for pasta alla puttanesca.
Puttanesca, yeah.
Loved it. So what I'm saying is I have a couple of restaurants here. Would you give me the honor one time, if you're in Toronto, to give me a call
Well, you
and
gotta
come and
give
cook
me
with
the
me?
address.
I'll give you everything.
And I will come to the restaurant if I'm in Toronto for sure.
I will do for you if you
Are
call
you
me.
kidding me? That's like an invitation.
I'd like to cook with you before I leave this
Oh.
planet. Do you like cooking?
I can't cook, but I like to watch.
Okay. Mr. Pacino,
Thank
I
you
love
so
you,
much.
and God, the world
Hey,
loves
man.
you, and thank you. Can I give you a little kiss?
You bet. Mwah. Mwah.
God bless you.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Terrific to
Thank
talk
you.
to you.
Thank you.
I'm glad I did this.
Thank you very much.